Welcome back to Sundust, short horror stories. Tonight we drift into the drowned valleys of the Great Smokies, where Lake Fontana swallowed entire communities whole in 1944 homes, churches, graveyards, lives. This is the Noland Creek Light. If you hike the North Shore Trail after dusk, you might glimpse it. A single amber glow, hovering just above the waterline near where Noland Creek empties into the lake. Not a flashlight beam, not a boat's running light, too constant, too patient. The old families who once lived along these drowned creeks still talk about Samuel Harkins. Before the Tennessee Valley Authority came with their promises and their floodgates, Samuel ran a small homestead near the mouth of Noland Creek. He had one child, Liddy, with hair the color of river silt. One night in 1938, a sudden squall rolled down from the ridges. Liddy had begged to go out in the flatboat to check the trot line. Samuel let her, while he tied down the smokehouse door. When he turned back, the boat was empty, spinning slow in the current. The storm swallowed her cries. They dragged the creek for days, nothing. Samuel never accepted it. He refused to leave when the government posted notices about the coming reservoir while neighbors packed wagons. Samuel stayed. Every night he walked the shoreline with his kerosene lantern, calling her name. Liddy, Liddy girl, come home now. Even after the water began to rise, slow at first, then hungry, he kept vigil. Folks said he was seen standing knee-deep in the flood, lantern raised high until the current took him too. When the lake finally settled over the valley in '44, the light didn't vanish, it simply waited. Hikers know the tale now as something almost comforting. The Noland Creek Light guides the lost. If fog traps you on the trail after dark, follow the glow, it'll lead you back to the path, to dry ground. At least, that's what the old-timers used to say. Last October, Eli and Dana seasoned through hikers finishing the mountains to see trail made camp off a quiet bend near the creek mouth. By twilight, the rain came in. They were breaking camp in the gray half-light when Dana froze. There, she whispered. An orange pinprick through the dripping trees, right where the creek bent toward the lake. Not bright enough for a modern headlamp. Probably another hiker, Eli said. But the light moved, slow, deliberate. It paused as if listening, then swung again. They should have stayed put. Instead, they followed. The lantern stayed just ahead, never too close. It lit the way. Puddles reflecting amber fire, slick roots gleaming like bones, moss-covered stones that looked almost like chimneys. The fog thickened until their own headlamps seemed to drown in it. The ground softened underfoot, gravel giving way to spongy grass, then cold mud that sucked at their boots. The air grew heavier. Rotting vegetation, stale lake water, the faint metallic bite of old iron. They stepped into a clearing. Foundations of an old cabin poked through the earth, blackened heartstones, a crumbled chimney choked with drowned ferns. The lantern floated at the center of the space, suspended in midair. No hand held it, no body beneath. Then, slowly, deliberately, it descended, straight down into the mud. The ground didn't part, the light simply sank through it. Eli grabbed Dana's arm, were turned around, he muttered. They spun back the way they thought they'd come. But the trail was gone. Trees looked wrong. The lake's edge felt closer than it should. They stumbled through the dark for hours. Branches clawed at their faces, mud pulled at their legs like hands. Dana felt it first. Small fingers brushing her ankles, she kicked free, hard hammering. Eli's flashlight caught faint bruises blooming on his wrists, tiny perfect handprints. Dawn found them 4 miles from their campsite, standing on a narrow spit of land that had been dry ridge before the flood. Now it jutted into the lake like a broken finger. The boots were caked with lake bottom silt, their clothes soaked through with water that smelled of decades-old decay. Park rangers took their statements at the Hazel Creek trailhead. Eli couldn't stop shaking. Dana's voice cracked when she spoke. She thought we were him. She kept repeating. Since that night, the Noland Creek Light still appears after storms, but the old legend has shifted. It no longer leads hikers out of the fog. It draws them deeper toward the water, toward the drowned homesteads, toward a father who never stopped searching and a daughter who never stopped waiting. You've been listening to Sundust Short Horror Stories. That's tonight's tale. The Noland Creek Light. If you find yourself on the North Shore Trail after dark, and an amber glow beckons through the mist, don't follow. It isn't guiding you home. It's trying to complete a family that's been missing one piece for 80 years. Good night, and keep to the high ground.